Okay, now in the filters, we're going to go in and we're going to create cascading filters. This is only going to work if you have Service Pack 1 applied to SharePoint. So let's move into RDC, forgive me, RPC. RDC, Remote Desktop Connection in here. And let me show you, I've already got this up and running so you can see it, so we can see where we're going. Here's where we're going to end up. I've got a page up here and running, and I've got a grid, and I've got the grid and the chart over here, and they're the exact same thing. They're shown in their design. Here's my cascading filters, and I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to select, say, TV and video. Do you see that product subcategory change? Watch. Games and toys, and you see this changes down in here. So this selection drops down and cascades down a product subcategory. Think of it exactly like PKFK in a database. So now I'll come down and we'll go box games, excuse me, and I'll say apply filters and watch this change. Okay, applied filters. Now I got sales amount by continent, Asia, Europe, and North America. And here's the exact same thing shown over here in a grid. Let's do something else. I'll do audio, and let's go with Bluetooth headphones. Well, I guess I'm going to go with recording pen. Bing. And now you see I've got a slight downward trend, and I've got that. So now we'll show you how we did this. The trick here is I'm looking into my cube. I'm going to use my cubes as my sources. Within the cubes, what you want to cascade is down through a hierarchy. If you see this little triangle symbol, that means hierarchy as I come on in. What I just looked at was the product hierarchy. First dot is product category name. We'll make a selection there, which is what we did. That cascaded me in the product subcategory name, and then I made that selection. So what the first thing you want to do before you fire up Dashboard Designer is go in and find the hierarchy you're going to want to cascade through. Now, I came in and I created two filters. I created product categories, and here it is. I'm just going to walk through the editor and show you what I did. And edit filter, I'm tied into my analysis services connection that I just showed you. Product dimension is I selected product category name. You remember product. See the product category name. I'm not going to go into naming with MDX down here, but actually product is legal. But don't worry about it. So product category name. And then I came through there and said members. I clicked select members, and I wanted to see all children. So I just went up in here and I right clicked and I said select children, or I could auto select members or whatever I wanted to do down here like this. Now if I wanted to set a default member so that it would come through, I could right click and say set as default selection. Then the filter would automatically go to that rather than doing it in this the sort that we have shown. Okay, now say up filter measure. You want to, it's a best practice to pick the filter measure that is the same. You're going to pick the same filter measure for all of the cascades that you're going to come through, all of the hierarchy you're going to move on down through. And then I just went next. List is considered also a best practice. And finish, and we've got it. Then on product subcategory, let me show you that one. It's the same thing, except select dimension now is product subcategory name. Product subcategory name. Cancel. Again, on select members, the same thing. I selected children, and I could select the default. Notice my sales measure is the same, the sales amount, the filter measure, I'm sorry. And again, list is a best practice, and I just went through and I'm great. Now I've got two filters that are the same members of a hierarchy, and they'll cascade on down. So now I went over to a dashboard that I cleverly named Cascading Filters. And all I did was, let me do a new one just so I can show it to you here. I'll go new, dashboard, and I'll do 3 columns, sounds fine. And now I've got this dashboard in here. I'm just going to expand out. Here's my filters. There's product category. I'm going to drop that right here. Now I've got product category. Now I'm going to take product subcategory and I'm going to drop it beneath. This happens all the time. It drives me insane. Yeah, what happened there is they flipped themselves on it. That is, subcategory was at top. And I want this to logically flow to make my life easier. Now, starting at the top of the stack with nothing else on the dashboard so that I don't get confused, I'm going to pull down the selection arrow and I'm going to select Create Connection. Get values from is already set up. Send values to what you do is you pick the next object down in the list, which is product subcategory. All right. Now for values, I want to send down the member unique value. So I'm going to send down the name of the product category and I'm going to say OK. And now you see I've got this connection created over in here. All right. Now I'm going to save this. Oh, let's give this a name, and we'll call this Cascade 2, just to differentiate it. All right, and now we'll come in and we'll save it. Now let's get something in here, so we'll do a report. I'm going to expand out my reports and my charts. And now I've got sales amount by continent, and I'm going to take and drop that into the center. Okay, now I've got the sales amount, and you remember I had to hook these connections up. So if I pull this down, I'm going to say Create Connection. Get values from subcategory is correct. That's the most descendant child. Now I'm going to send it to the sales amount by continent, values, connect on into the measures. Source value is member unique name. And I'll say OK. Now if we come back over to Cascading Filters, and I come in and I show you this just to show you that it worked, I hope. Edit connection down here. Again, connected measures, member unique name, items, and we've already got that configured on out. So let's go back over to Cascade 2. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to put down that apply filters button on here also because I like it. Boop. Now if I can pick the right spot, and I'll drop it right there. And that's a dumb spot. Let me drop it underneath. There we go. Okay, now I've got this apply filters, and we're going to save. You probably don't have to save it. I just get a little paranoid on this. So let's go through and deploy it. And we're going to deploy to SharePoint. Now it's asking me what document library and dashboards is correct, and the master page, and let's just go crazy here. And we'll go master page for night and day, and I'll say OK. And it's deploying on out to SharePoint. It's deploying out to SharePoint. Okay, there she goes. See, I've got all these lined up in here so I can come through and look at it. By the way, here's night and day. All right. Here is sales amount, blah, 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 by continent, Asia, Europe, North America, and product categories. Now, when I pull this down, I'm going to switch over to computers. And you see the product subcategory switched in the laptop. Nothing changed because I did not do my apply. Now I applied and we switched that on out. And you see we're at about 20 mil. And let's see if it's working. So let's go projectors and screens. All right, and you see that moved on up. All right, look, I know this is a little stupid. We're just throwing out numbers down in here. That is, this doesn't reflect a real business. Computer accessories. All right, you see that dropped on down. Now let's move over to like games or home appliances, washer and dryer. Sounds fine. All right, and now I noticed that thing down here, 40 mil, and that moved on up, and you see that's got washers and dryers across, and that's how I did it. Now the way I added that other grid was obvious. I just took this PerformancePoint content and not scorecards, And I want to come in here, I want to take charts, and let's see, sales amount by continent in a grid. And I'll drop it in over in here. And now again, I can pull this down, I can create a connection, send the values to, you see the right column, the left column, sales went out by content in the grid, values, connect to the measures, source value is member unique name again, and we're going to say OK, and we'll save, and we'll right click, and we'll deploy. All right, now I've got the grid. I've got both of these web parts. Well, these reports are displayed in a web part. And I'll pull this down and I'll say cell phones and smartphones, and we'll apply filter. And you see it's filtering them both now. All right, so that's your cascading filters. The key to understanding that is looking into your underlying cube and look for your filters, or I'm sorry, for your hierarchies, because that's what we need to filter on. We're going to select one which cascades down into another, and that's a cascading filter.